Ricky Andy the Tuft. This person deserves a huge thank you for asking for today's video. King Alaric Andy Queen is Mion for a child long ago in the Sundepod realm of Pharaoh. The royal court got ready for an unprecedented celebration when the prayers were ultimately heard. While the people waited for the Fahelsi air, trumpets roared, banners flowed from every tower. Andy the Queen worked day and night. Music any updates as of yet? Absolutely nothing. Waiting. Music however? Silence descended upon the room upon the birth of the newborn prince. The child was small and strangely shaped, with a shock of hair that stood upright in a single tuft like a startled bird's feathers, and a nose that was a little too big for his delicate face. But his eyes were brilliant and dazzling, displaying a level of intelligence well above his initial breaths. Music, is this the child he prayed to God for? Music, do not lament the child's birth, Your Majesty. He has received a gift from me that surpasses beauty. Despite having a plain face, your son will outsmart all the attractive princes of the world with his quick mind and wise heart. Furthermore, I give him permission to use his wit on the person he loves the most once he reaches adulthood. Despite his surprise, the king bowed in appreciation. The fair's assurance reassured the queen, who held the kid close to her chest. They gave him the name Riyadh, but the court quickly dubbed him Ray with the Tufted because of his uncontrollably wild hair. Music, as the fairy predicted, Ray grew astute, inquisitive, and full of lively discourse. Before he could walk properly, he solved puzzles and outwitted teachers who came to teach him. The boys beating with thrilled courtiers, who marveled at his intelligence. But as time went on, rumors began to circulate about his appearance. He was occasionally taunted by kids in the palace gardens, and the visiting nobility found it difficult to conceal their shocked expressions. Ray discovered early on that humor might make people laugh, but hearts could not be won. He entertained brilliantly, spoke gently, and wore fine clothing, yet beneath his brilliant speech was a silent anguish. Who would like a prince who was both intelligent and unattractive? The queen frequently observed him from a distance, questioning whether the fair's gift would indeed provide happiness, despite his parents' intense love for him. So intelligent, but when love is chilly, will wisdom keep him warm? The adjacent kingdom of Armandia, which was governed by a kind king, and the queen who, like their counterparts in Ferdel, had long yearned for children, was located beyond the Silver Mountains. The queen gave birth to twin daughters, thus their prayers were twice granted, but fate's gifts were not equal. The same green-cloaked fairy who had visited Pharaoh showed up in front of the royal cradle on the day of their christening. Music, give the older the ability to make the person she loves the most beautiful. Provide the younger person the ability to give intelligence to the person she loves the most. The king and the queen bowed in appreciation, but they couldn't help but worry whether these presents were intended to tip the scales. Clarice, the older princess, was stunning from birth. Her eyes were as bright as the summer sky, her hair shone like spun gold, and her smile lit up every room. However, the court found a disturbing emptiness when she started speaking. Words came out slowly. She was perplexed by questions. She was uninterested in poetry and the music. Leonor, the younger princess, was the complete opposite. Her chin was a little too sharp, her nose a little too long, and her features were unremarkable, but her mind was like a diamond. When she spoke, courtiers overlooked her appearance because her conversation flowed with charm and humor. Music, years went by. Princess Clarice became more and more attractive, yet she was secretly unhappy. Numerous suitors were drawn to her stunning appearance. However, she was unable to speak during talks. Poetry and the ballads swept over her like meaningless waves. The court chatted about her thoughts while adoring her face. The constant buzz of courtiers was making me restless one sunny spring morning. After sneaking out of the palace, Clarice ventured into the royal hunting forest. She wanted to be alone in a remote glade where a brook whispered over mossy stones and the sunshine filtered through silver birch trees. Prince Ray, who was now 20 years old, had also tried to flee across the border. He stopped as if struck by lightning as he entered the exact glade where Clarice was sitting in contemplation after following a meandering deer path. What was that? Although her beauty was famous, he was more moved by the melancholy in her eyes than by her golden hair. Princess, please pardon me. This place seemed deserted to me. If I'm bothering you, I'll go. You are welcome to remain. There is definitely enough room for two in the jungle. They talked about the peaceful beauty of their surroundings, the sound of birdsong, the aroma of pine, and the eventually deeper topics. Clarice heard a discourse full of shrewd tones and the brilliant insights rather than the meaningless flattery she feared. She was captivated to the warmth in his remarks and found herself listening with an eagerness that astonished her, even if she was unable to match his rapid wit. "Your Highness, is it the sorrow behind your smile?" Ray finally murmured softly. "Would you like your brains to match your beauty? Above all, a miracle like that is unimaginable, not insurmountable. I was given the ability to share my wit with a loved one by a fairy. On one condition, I would be happy to offer it to you. And what may that be? That if your heart desires it, you will be free to wed me in a year. Just a pledge to think about. No more coercion or order." Clarice paused. He was charming and friendly, but she was taken aback by his appearance. "I promise." Warmth filled her head like sunlight penetrating fog when he touched her. Thoughts sprang to life. With effortless grace, words were formed. For the first time in her life, she felt awake. They parted with a secret bond from that hidden glade that neither court had yet to suspect. The court was astounded by Clarice's metamorphosis after that day. She debated ministers, spoke with experts, and wrote clever poetry that circulated throughout the kingdom's salons. Admirers flocked to hear what she had to say. The once quiet princess turned into Armandia's sparkling gem. However, her new perspective brought with it new challenges. She was courted by attractive princes not just for her attractive appearance but also for her captivating speech. "It's time to think about your future, Clarice, my love. Your heart will lead you, dear youngster. Do we have to marry Amani don't laugh in order to be happy? Or has my life already started without my knowledge?" The weird prince with the wild tuft came back to Clarice's mind. Intelligent and kind, but unattractive. She admired him, but her heart was divided between appreciation and lust. She has the means to ask questions but not the answers thanks to her newly discovered intellect. Ray, meantime, came back to Ferdel feeling both happy and nervous. He had given away a portion of his gift, and despite his faith in Clarice's assurance, he was afraid of what the world would think of him. Over the course of the year, Ray committed himself to intelligent leadership in an effort to demonstrate that a cunning prince could be just as appealing as a handsome one. He acquired the silent skill of patience, which is the ability to wait without giving up. On the designated day, Clarice strolled by herself in the royal orchard, her heart racing. Every country's suitors had offered kingdoms and wells. However, nothing touched her more than the recollection of Ray's sincere gaze and the soft power of his words. She came to recognize that she was able to see character over appearance because of the intellect he had given her. She remembered how his generosity had made her feel less alone. With her decision made, she mounted her horse at dusk and went for Ferdel. In the forest glade where they had first spoken, Ray was waiting for her. Music with her heart pounding, Clarice got off and walked over. Something remarkable happened as she gazed at him. His face's sharp angles softened. Her recollection of the uncomfortable characteristics appeared to dissolve into harmony. The tuft of hair glittered like a crown, and his eyes brightened. She gasped, wondering if he had altered due to magic, but she understood in that moment. Her vision had been changed by love. It didn't really matter if the fairy magic affected her perception or her heart. "Music came of my own free will, Prince Urquette. I appreciate your kindness more than the wit you provided me. Are you going to let me be your wife?" Ray's eyes brightened. The fairy reappeared as their hands touched, her shimmering green cloak. "Music, you have fulfilled the purest magic, not the gift of beauty or intellect, children of two countries, but the ability to look past the obvious. Let your union serve as a reminder to everyone that love is the source of all beauty." Music, the ensuing nuptials brought Feral and Armandia together in joy. In addition to celebrating a successful partnership, Clarice's parents were delighted by their daughter's obvious joy. "Promise you a marriage based on equality and kindness, and I give you my whole heart, my princess." Applause. The clever younger sister, Leonor, wrote a light-hearted poem for the occasion, hinting that she might one day use her own talent on a deserving soul. Urquette and Clarice ruled as king and queen with a harmony of reason and empathy. The court evolved into a place where scholars and artists freely interacted with nobility, where discourse was valued more than jewels, and where children were raised to believe that true brilliance is created when the mind and the heart work together. Some claim that Ray's expression really transformed that night, transformed into the attractive Prince Clarice could now see thanks to fairy power. Others maintain that her laugh's sharpened sense was the only thing that changed. However, the people who knew them best didn't give a damn about these arguments, because everyone could see that the greatest magic was not beauty or wit but rather the mutual recognition of souls in their shared decisions, laughing, and the bright future of their united kingdoms.